Good afternoon. You know, if you look in the program, I'm the only guy in there that doesn't have a coach in front of his name. But I am a teacher. And I'm truly honored to be in front of such a prestigious group. And I'm not talking about the coaches. I'm talking about their wives. We all know what really makes coaching work. And I applaud you ladies. I know what I put up with at home. As being a teacher, you always need a prop. And this is what brought me here today to honor Coach Sellers. It's a football, as you can see. It's a special football to me. But I wonder how all of our lives might be different if we'd never seen one of these. Any idea of the first time you saw yours? Any of you guys? I bet there's some mornings you wake up and wish you'd never seen one of these, like I do when you're getting out of bed. It's tough. It's truly the reason we're all here. When Terry called me, I was taken aback to honor Coach Sellers. I thought, gosh, Coach, there's so many other individuals that could probably do a much more efficient job than myself. But I'll give it my best shot. You know, I've stood in front of 80,000 people looking straight up in the air and trying to catch a ball coming down while 10 other guys are trying to tear my head off, and never really thought about being nervous standing in front of a crowd of kindergartners, which is what I teach, and they'll eat you alive in a second, and if you're not well prepared. So bear with me. Coach Sellers, he went to UGA 1945, 16 years old, played for Wally Butts. And for those of you who know who that gentleman is, he truly is a legend. Probably the most hard-nosed football coach in the history of the game. And I don't know how many were trained by Wally Butts players and coaches, but I can assure you, after playing for Weyman Sellers, I could have gone in anywhere and it would have been a picnic. It truly explains everything. He came out of Albany, and did any of y'all know he was a pilot? He flew. Well, the planes he flew had two wings at that particular time, and before he left Albany, crop dusting and doing the barnstorming air shows. And one day we're standing at practice, and he looks up and he looks at me and he looks up again, and he says, "I wonder where they're going." And there was a jet streaming across the sky, and he sat there and shared that story with me, and I would have had no idea. And I asked him, "Gosh, Coach, why didn't you keep flying? You could have been one of those guys flying that plane." And he tells me he's at an air show, and one of his dear friends flying with him goes to do a loop-to-loop and never comes out. And he said, "I landed the plane and never got in another one." And that's how he was fortunate enough to become my football coach. He went to Athens High in 1952, 53, we're not sure. But gas, I believe at that time, was about 20 cents for those people that could afford an automobile. He won 250 games in his career, lost 112, won 2 state championships, 1 runner-up, 8 region titles. But one of his claim to fame, he was 1-1 against Wright Bazemore. And any of y'all familiar with that gentleman? They had quite a love-hate relationship. Coach Sellers, and I talked with a lot of people and got so many stories, and I have those of my own. But he flew his team down in 1969 to play Coach Bazemore from Athens down to Valdosta. And Coach Bazemore sends out the oldest bus in the fleet from Valdosta to pick him up. And it's still a bone of contention to this day. I don't know how many of you gentlemen had the opportunity to coach against Coach Sellers, but he ran the offense plays, came at you so fast that I know I was talking with Coach Bass last night, and they had two scout groups that ran there against their defense. One kept coming at you and kept coming at you, and if any of you guys refereed, had the opportunity, it's the first time I've ever seen referees with their hands on their knees going down the sidelines trying to catch their wind from rolling the ball down the field, and he's urging them on the entire time to hurry up and set the ball, hurry up and set the ball. Well, usually when we're on the visiting side, the chain gang's with us also on that side, and those guys look good in the first quarter, and by halftime their shirts are hanging out, they're sweating profusely and trying to towel themselves off because it was like a machine gun. We just kept coming, and he revolutionized the game as far as how many plays you could squeeze into a football game. I think the average was about 50 or 60, and we got it up to 75 to 80 offensive plays a game. Just keep coming at you. I know with that particular style of offense, when he started in the early 50s, there weren't any video cameras or it was all old school, and that never changed. I mean, it truly never changed, and we all think that, you know, it was all about the game, the football game, and the most amazing thing is after 30 years of being out of college, and you realize it's not about the game itself, it's about the relationships and the friendships and all the people that you have the opportunity to meet, and that you have the chance to honor an individual such as Weyman Sellers. Gentlemen at the table there, would y'all stand up real quick? Those of you that have come to honor Coach Sellers. I talked with Fran Tarkington about 2 years ago and Andy Johnson and asked them, guys, y'all played for Coach Sellers. What's the one thing you remember about him? You know, what's the one thing that sets him apart? What made him so successful? And everyone I've ever talked to that had the opportunity to play for him as well as coach for him agreed that it was his intensity, his on the field, and it wasn't that way in practice. It was just during the game. His sheer intensity. It was almost like another person had shown up for the game, and it never changed. Even when they said he mellowed, so to speak. I go to Georgia in 1977, and I'm working hard on the bench, and the coach walks up and he said, "Well, Scott, how's it going?" And I said, "Coach, this is great." He said, "Oh, that's right. You played for Weyman Sellers." He said, "This ought to be a picnic," and it truly was. We never ran wind sprints at the end of practice because the entire practice was nothing but a wind sprint. You as soon as you hit the ground, you got up and run into the huddle, got in the huddle and ran back to the line of scrimmage. And those of you that coached against him can surely attest to that. I am truly honored, Coach Sellers, to speak on your behalf in your induction into the Georgia High School Coaches Hall of Fame. I would hope all of y'all would join me in applause. Coach Sellers.